61. Matter is consciousness itself.
Questioner: I was lucky to have holy company all my life. Is it enough for self-realization?
Maharaj, it depends what you make of it.
I was told that the liberating action of satsang is automatic. Just like a river carries one to the estuary, so the subtle and silent influence of good people will take me to reality.
It will take you to the river, but the crossing is your own. Freedom cannot be gained nor kept without will to freedom. You must strive for liberation. The least you can do is uncover and remove the obstacles diligently. If you want peace, you must strive for it. You will not get peace just by keeping quiet.
A child just grows. He does not make plans for growth, nor has he a pattern, nor does he grow by fragments, a hand here, a leg there. He grows integrally and unconsciously.
Because he is free of imagination. You can also grow like this, but you must not indulge in forecasts and plans, born of memory and anticipation. It is one of the peculiarities of a Jnani that he is not concerned with the future. Your concern with future is due to fear of pain and desire for pleasure. To the Jnani, all is bliss. He is happy with whatever comes.
Surely, there are many things that would make even a Jnani miserable.
A Jnani may meet with difficulties, but they do not make him suffer. Bringing up a child from birth to maturity may seem a hard task, but to a mother, the memories of hardships are a joy. There is nothing wrong with the world. What is wrong is in the way you look at it. It is your own imagination that misleads you. Without imagination, there is no world. Your conviction that you are conscious of a world is the world. The world you perceive is made of consciousness. What you call matter is consciousness itself. You are the space, akash, in which it moves, the time in which it lasts, the love that gives it life. Cut off imagination and attachment, and what remains?
The world remains. I remain.
Yes. But how different it is when you can see it as it is, not through the screen of desire and fear.
What for are all these distinctions, reality and illusion, wisdom and ignorance, saint and sinner? Everyone is in search of happiness. Everyone strives desperately. Everyone is a yogi and his life a school of wisdom. Each learns his own way the lessons he needs. Society approves of some, disapproves of others. There are no rules that apply everywhere and for all time.
In my world, love is the only law. I do not ask for love, I give it. Such is my nature.
I see you living your life according to a pattern. You run a meditation class in the morning, lecture and have discussions regularly. Twice daily there is worship, puja, and religious singing, bhajan, in the evening. You seem to adhere to the routine scrupulously.
The worship and the singing are as I found them, and I saw no reason to interfere. The general routine is according to the wishes of the people with whom I happen to live or who come to listen. They are working people, with many obligations, and the timings are for their convenience. Some repetitive routine is inevitable. Even animals and plants have their timetables.
Yes, we see a regular sequence in all life. Who maintains the order? Is there an inner ruler who lays down laws and enforces order?
Everything moves according to its nature. Where is the need of a policeman? Every action creates a reaction, which balances and neutralizes the action. Everything happens, but there is a continuous canceling out, and in the end, it is as if nothing happened.
Do not console me with final harmonies. The accounts tally, but the loss is mine.
Wait and see. You may end up with a profit good enough to justify the outlays.
There's a long life behind me, and I often wonder whether its many events took place by accident or there was a plan. Was there a pattern laid down before I was born by which I had to live my life? If yes, who made the plans and who enforced them? Could there be deviations and mistakes? Some say destiny is immutable and every second of life is predetermined. Others say that pure accident decides everything.
You can have it as you like. You can distinguish in your life a pattern or see merely a chain of accidents. Explanations are meant to please the mind. They need not be true. Reality is indefinable and indescribable.
Sir, you are escaping my question. I want to know how you look at it. Wherever we look, we find structure of unbelievable intelligence and beauty. How can I believe that the universe is formless and chaotic? Your world, the world in which you live, may be formless, but it need not be chaotic.
The objective universe has structure, is orderly and beautiful. Nobody can deny it, but structure and pattern imply constraint and compulsion. My world is absolutely free. Everything in it is self-determined. Therefore, I keep on saying that all happens by itself. There is order in my world too, but it is not imposed from outside. It comes spontaneously and immediately because of its timelessness. Perfection is not in the future. It is now.
Does your world affect mine?
At one point only, at the point of the now. It gives it momentary being, a fleeting sense of reality. In full awareness, the contact is established. It needs effortless, unself-conscious attention.
Is not attention an attitude of mind?
Yes, when the mind is eager for reality, it gives attention. There is nothing wrong with your world. It is your thinking yourself to be separate from it that creates disorder. Selfishness is the source of all evil.
I'm coming back to my question. Before I was born, did my inner self decide the details of my life, or was it entirely accidental and at the mercy of heredity and circumstances?
Those who claim to have selected their father and mother and decided how they are going to live their next life may know for themselves. I know for myself. I was never born.
I see you sitting in front of me and replying my questions.
You see the body only, which, of course, was born and will die.
It is the life story of thus body-mind that I am interested in. Was it laid down by you or somebody else? Or did it happen accidentally?
There is a catch in your very question. I make no distinction between the body and the universe. Each is the cause of the other. Each is the other, in truth. But I am out of it all. When I am telling you that I was never born, why go on asking me what were my preparations for the next birth? The moment you allow your imagination to spin, it at once spins out a universe. It is not at all as you imagine, and I am not bound by your imaginings.
It requires intelligence and energy to build and maintain a living body. Where do they come from?
There is only imagination. The intelligence and power are all used up in your imagination. It has absorbed you so completely that you just cannot grasp how far from reality you have wandered. No doubt imagination is richly creative. Universe within universe are built on it. Yet they are all in space and time, past and future, which just do not exist.
I have read recently a report about a little girl who was very cruelly handled in her early childhood. She was badly mutilated and disfigured and grew up in an orphanage, completely estranged from its surroundings. This little girl was quiet and obedient, but completely indifferent. One of the nuns who were looking after the children was convinced that the girl was not mentally retarded, but merely withdrawn, irresponsive. A psychoanalyst was asked to take up the case, and for full 2 years he would see the child once a week and try to break the wall of isolation. She was docile and well-behaved, but would give no attention to her doctor. He brought her a toy house with rooms and movable furniture and dolls representing father, mother, and their children. It brought out a response. The girl got interested. One day, the old hurts revived and came to the surface. Gradually, she recovered. A number of operations brought back her face and body to normal, and she grew into an efficient and attractive young woman. It took the doctor more than 5 years, but the work was done. He was a real guru. He did not put down conditions nor talk about readiness and eligibility. Without faith, without hope, out of love only he tried and tried again.
Yes, that is the nature of a guru. He will never give up. But to succeed, he must not be met with too much resistance. Doubt and disobedience necessarily delay. Given confidence and pliability, he can bring about a radical change in the disciple speedily. Deep insight in the guru and earnestness in the disciple, both are needed. Whatever was her condition, the girl in your story suffered for lack of earnestness in people. The most difficult are the intellectuals. They talk a lot, but are not serious. What you call realization is a natural thing. When you are ready, your guru will be waiting. Sadhana is effortless. When the relationship with your teacher is right, you grow. Above all, trust him. He cannot mislead you.
Even when he asked me to do something patently wrong,
Do it. A sannyasi had been asked by his guru to marry. He obeyed and suffered bitterly. But his 4 children were all saints and seers, the greatest in Maharashtra. Be happy with whatever comes from your guru, and you will grow to perfection without striving.
"Sir, have you any wants or wishes? Can I do anything for you?"
What can you give me that I do not have? Material things are needed for contentment, but I am contented with myself. What else do I need?
Surely, when you're hungry, you need food, and when sick, you need medicine.
Hunger brings the food, and illness brings the medicine. It is all nature's work.
If I bring something I believe you need, will you accept it?
The love that made you offer will make me accept.
If somebody offers to build you a beautiful ashram,
Let him, by all means. Let him spend a fortune, employ hundreds, feed thousands.
is it not a desire?
Not at all. I am only asking him to do it properly, not stingily, half-heartedly. He is fulfilling his own desire, not mine. Let him do it well and be famous among men and gods.
But do you want it?
I do not want it.
Will you accept it?
I don't need it.
Will you stay in it?
If I am compelled.
What can compel you?
Love of those who are in search of light.
Yes, I see your point. Now, how am I to go into samadhi?
If you are in the right state, whatever you see will put you into samadhi. After all, samadhi is nothing unusual. When the mind is intensely interested, it becomes one with the object of interest. The seer and the seen become one in seeing. The hearer and the heard become one in hearing. The lover and the loved become one in loving. Every experience can be the ground for samadhi.
Are you always in a state of samadhi?
Of course not. Samadhi is a state of mind, after all. I am beyond all experience, even of samadhi. I am the great devourer and destroyer. Whatever I touch dissolves into void, akash.
I need samadhis for self-realization.
You have all the self-realization you need, but you do not trust it. Have courage. Trust yourself. Go. Talk. Act. Give it a chance to prove itself. With some, realization comes imperceptibly, but somehow they need convincing. They have changed, but they do not notice it. Such non-spectacular cases are often the most reliable.
Can one believe himself to be realized and be mistaken?
Of course, The very idea, I am self-realized, is a mistake. There is no I am this, I am that in the natural state.
62. In the Supreme the witness appears.
Questioner. Some 40 years ago, J. Krishnamurti said that there is life only, and all talk of personalities and individualities has no foundation in reality. He did not attempt to describe life. He merely said that while life need not and cannot be described, it can be fully experienced if the obstacles to its being experienced are removed. The main hindrance lies in our idea of, in addiction to, time, in our habit of anticipating a future in the light of the past. The sum total of the past becomes the I was. The hoped for future becomes the I shall be, and life is a constant effort of crossing over from what I was to what I shall be. The present moment, the now, is lost sight of. Maharaj speaks of I am. Is it an illusion, like I was and I shall be? Or is there something real about it? And if the I am too is an illusion, how does one free oneself from it? The very notion of I am free of I am is an absurdity. Is there something real, something lasting about the I am in distinction from the I was, or I shall be, which change with time as added memories create new expectations?
Maharaj, the present I am is as false as the I was and I shall be. It is merely an idea in the mind, an impression left by memory, and the separate identity it creates is false. This habit of referring to a false center must be done away with. The notion I see, I feel, I think, I do, must disappear from the field of consciousness. What remains when the false is no more is real.
What is this big talk about elimination of the self? How can the self eliminate itself? What kind of metaphysical acrobatics can lead to the disappearance of the acrobat? In the end, he will reappear, mightily proud of his disappearing.
You need not chase the I am to kill it. You cannot. All you need is a sincere longing for reality. We call it Atma Bhakti, the love of the Supreme, or Moksha Sankalpa, the determination to be free from the false. Without love, and will inspired by love, nothing can be done. Merely talking about reality without doing anything about it is self-defeating. There must be love in the relation between the person who says I am and the observer of that I am. As long as the observer, the inner self, the higher self, considers himself apart from the observed, the lower self, despises it and condemns it, the situation is hopeless. It is only when the observer, Vyakta, accepts the person, Vyakti, as a projection or manifestation of himself, and, so to say, takes the self into the self. The duality of I and this goes, and in the identity of the outer and the inner, the supreme reality manifests itself. This union of the seer and the seen happens when the seer becomes conscious of himself as the seer. He is not merely interested in the seen, which he is anyhow, but also interested in being interested, giving attention to attention, aware of being aware. Affectionate awareness is the crucial factor that brings reality into focus. According to the Theosophists and allied occultists, man consists of three aspects: personality, individuality, and spirituality. Beyond spirituality lies divinity. The personality is strictly temporary and valid for one birth only. It begins with the birth of the body and ends with the birth of the next body. Once over, it is over for good. Nothing remains of it except a few sweet or bitter lessons. The individuality begins with the animal man and ends with the fully human. The split between the personality and individuality is characteristic of our present-day humanity. On one side, the individuality, with its longing for the true, the good, and the beautiful. On the other side, an ugly struggle between habit and ambition, fear and greed, passivity and violence. The spirituality aspect is still in abeyance. It cannot manifest itself in an atmosphere of duality. Only when the personality is reunited with the individuality and becomes a limited, perhaps, but true expression of it, that the light and love and beauty of the spiritual come into their own.
You teach of the Vyakti, Vyakta, Avyakta, observer, observed and ground of observation. Does it tally with the other view?
Yes, when the Vyakti realizes its non-existence in separation from the Vyakta, and the Vyakta sees the Vyakti as his own expression, then the peace and silence of the Avyakta state come into being. In reality, the three are one. The Vyakta and the Avyakta are inseparable, while the Vyakti is the sensing, feeling, thinking process, based on the body made of and fed by the five elements.
What is the relation between the Vyakta and the Avyakta?
How can there be relation when they are one? All talk of separation and relation is due to the distorting and corrupting influence of I am the body idea. The outer self, Vyakti, is merely a projection on the body-mind of the inner self, Vyakta, which again is only an expression of the Supreme Self, Avyakta, which is all and none.
There are teachers who will not talk of the higher self and lower self. They address the man as if only the lower self existed. Neither Buddha nor Christ ever mentioned a higher self. J. Krishnamurti too fights shy of any mention of the higher self. Why is it so?
How can there be two selves in one body? The I am is one. There is no higher I am and lower I am. All kinds of states of mind are presented to awareness, and there is self-identification with them. The objects of observation are not what they appear to be, and the attitudes they are met with are not what they need be. If you think that Buddha, Christ, or Krishnamurti speak to the person, you are mistaken. They know well that the Vyakti, the outer self, is but a shadow of the Vyakta, the inner self, and they address and admonish the Vyakta only. They tell him to give attention to the outer self, to guide and help it, to feel responsible for it, in short, to be fully aware of it. Awareness comes from the Supreme and pervades the inner self. The so-called outer self is only that part of one's being of which one is not aware. One may be conscious, for every being is conscious, but one is not aware. What is included in awareness becomes the inner and partakes of the inner. You may put it differently. The body defines the outer self, consciousness the inner, and in pure awareness the Supreme is contacted.
You said the body defines the outer self. Since you have a body, do you have also an outer self?
I would, were I attached to the body and take it to be myself.
But you are aware of it and attend to its needs.
The contrary is nearer to truth. The body knows me and is aware of my needs. But neither is really so. This body appears in your mind. In my mind, nothing is.
Do you mean to say you are quite unconscious of having a body?
On the contrary, I am conscious of not having a body.
I see you smoking.
Exactly so. You see me smoking. Find out for yourself, how did you come to see me smoking? And you will easily realize that it is your I am the body state of mind that is responsible for this I see you smoking idea.
There is the body, and there is myself. I know the body. Apart from it, what am I?
There is no I apart from the body, nor the world. The three appear and disappear together. At the root is the sense I am. Go beyond it. The idea, I am not the body, is merely an antidote to the idea I am the body, which is false. What is that I am? Unless you know yourself, what else can you know?
From what you say, I conclude that without the body there can be no liberation. If the idea, I am not the body, leads to liberation, the presence of the body is essential.
Quite right. Without the body, how can the idea, I am not the body, come into being? The idea, I am free, is as false as the idea, I am in bondage. Find out the I am common to both and go beyond.
All is a dream only.
All are mere words. Of what use are they to you? You are entangled in the web of verbal definitions and formulations. Go beyond your concepts and ideas. In the silence of desire and thought, the truth is found.
One has to remember not to remember. What a task!
It cannot be done, of course. It must happen. But it does happen when you truly see the need of it. Again, earnestness is the golden key.
At the back of my mind there is a hum going on all the time. Numerous weak thoughts swarm and buzz, and this shapeless cloud is always with me. Is it the same with you? What is at the back of your mind?
Where there is no mind, there is no back to it. I am all front, no back. The void speaks. The void remains.
Is there no memory left?
No memory of past pleasure or pain is left. Each moment is newly born.
Without memory, you cannot be conscious.
Of course I am conscious and fully aware of it. I am not a block of wood. Compare consciousness and its content to a cloud. You are inside the cloud, while I look at. You are lost in it, hardly able to see the tips of your fingers, while I see the cloud and many other clouds and the blue sky too, and the sun, the moon, the stars. Reality is one for both of us. But for you, it is a prison, and for me, it is a home.
You spoke of the person, Vyakti, the witness, Vyakta, and the supreme, Avyakta. Which comes first?
In the supreme, the witness appears. The witness creates the person and thinks itself as separate from it. The witness sees that the person appears in consciousness, which again appears in the witness. This realization of the basic unity is the working of the Supreme. It is the power behind the witness, the source from which all flows. It cannot be contacted unless there is unity and love and mutual help between the person and the witness, unless the doing is in harmony with the being and the knowing. The Supreme is both the source and the fruit of such harmony. As I talk to you, I am in the state of detached but affectionate awareness, Turiya. When this awareness turns upon itself, you may call it the supreme state, Turiyatita. But the fundamental reality is beyond awareness, beyond the three states of becoming, being, and not being.
How is it that here my mind is engaged in high topics and finds dwelling on them easy and pleasant? When I return home, I find myself forgetting all I have learnt here, worrying and fretting, unable to remember my real nature even for a moment. What may be the cause?
It is your childishness you are returning to. You are not fully grown up. There are levels left undeveloped because unattended. Just give full attention to what in you is crude and primitive, unreasonable and unkind, altogether childish, and you will ripen. It is the maturity of heart and mind that is essential. It comes effortlessly when the main obstacle is removed. In attention, unawareness. In awareness, you grow.
63rd. Notion of doership is bondage.
Questioner: we have been staying at the Satya Sai Baba ashram for some time. We have also spent 2 months at Sri Ramanashram at Tiruvannamalai. Now, we are on our way back to the United States.
Maharaj, did India cause any change in you?
We feel we have shed our burden. Sri Satya Sai Baba told us to leave everything to him and just live from day to day as righteously as possible. Be good and leave the rest to me, he used to tell us.
What were you doing at the Sri Ramanashram?
We were going on with the mantra given to us by the Guru. We also did some meditation. There was not much of thinking or study. We were just trying to keep quiet. We are on the bhakti path and rather poor in philosophy. We have not much to think about. Just trust our Guru and live our lives.
Most of the bhaktas trust their guru only as long as all is well with them. When troubles come, they feel let down and go out in search of another guru.
Yes, we were warned against this danger. We are trying to take the hard along with the soft. The feeling, all is grace, must be very strong. A sadhu was walking eastwards from where a strong wind started blowing. The sadhu just turned round and walked west. We hope to live just like that, adjusting ourselves to circumstances as sent us by our guru.
There is only life. There is nobody who lives a life.
That we understand, yet constantly we make attempts to live our lives instead of just living. Making plans for the future seems to be an inveterate habit with us.
Whether you plan or don't, life goes on. But in life itself, a little whirl arises in the mind, which indulges in fantasies and imagines itself dominating and controlling life. Life itself is desireless, but the false self wants to continue, pleasantly. Therefore, it is always engaged in ensuring one's continuity. Life is unafraid and free. As long as you have the idea of influencing events, liberation is not for you. The very notion of doership, of being a cause, is bondage.
How can we overcome the duality of the doer and the done?
Contemplate life as infinite, undivided, ever-present, ever-active, until you realize yourself as one with it. It is not even very difficult, for you will be returning only to your own natural condition. Once you realize that all comes from within, that the world in which you live has not been projected onto you but by you, your fear comes to an end. Without this realization, you identify yourself with the externals, like the body, mind, society, nation, humanity, even God or the Absolute. But these are all escapes from fear. It is only when you fully accept your responsibility for the little world in which you live and watch the process of its creation, preservation, and destruction, that you may be free from your imaginary bondage.
Why should I imagine myself so wretched?
You do it by habit only. Change your ways of feeling and thinking. Take stock of them and examine them closely. You are in bondage by inadvertence. Attention liberates. You are taking so many things for granted. Begin to question. The most obvious things are the most doubtful. Ask yourself such questions as, was I really born? Am I really so-and-so? How do I know that I exist? Who are my parents? Have they created me? Or have I created them? Must I believe all I am told about myself? Who am I, anyhow? You have put so much energy into building a prison for yourself. Now, spend as much on demolishing it. In fact, demolition is easy, for the false dissolves when it is discovered. All hangs on the idea, I am. Examine it very thoroughly. It lies at the root of every trouble. It is a sort of skin that separates you from the reality. The real is both within and without the skin, but the skin itself is not real. This I am idea was not born with you. You could have lived very well without it. It came later due to your self-identification with the body. It created an illusion of separation where there was none. It made you a stranger in your own world and made the world alien and inimical. Without the sense of I am, life goes on. There are moments when we are without the sense of I am, at peace and happy. With the return of the I am, trouble starts.
How is one to be free from the I sense?
You must deal with the I sense if you want to be free of it. Watch it in operation and at peace. How it starts and when it ceases, what it wants and how it gets it, till you see clearly and understand fully. After all the yogas, whatever their source and character, have only one aim: to save you from the calamity of separate existence, of being a meaningless dot in a vast and beautiful picture. You suffer because you have alienated yourself from reality, and now you seek an escape from this alienation. You cannot escape from your own obsessions. You can only cease nursing them. It is because the I am is false that it wants to continue. Reality need not continue. Knowing itself indestructible, it is indifferent to the destruction of forms and expressions. To strengthen and stabilize the I am, we do all sorts of things, all in vain, for the I am is being rebuilt from moment to moment. It is unceasing work, and the only radical solution is to dissolve the separative sense of I am such and such person once and for good. Being remains, but not self-being.
I have definite spiritual ambitions. Must I not work for their fulfillment?
No ambition is spiritual. All ambitions are for the sake of the I am. If you want to make real progress, you must give up all idea of personal attainment. The ambitions of the so-called yogis are preposterous. A man's desire for a woman is innocence itself, compared to the lusting for an everlasting personal bliss. The mind is a cheat. The more pious it seems, the worse the betrayal.
People come to you very often with their worldly troubles and ask for help. How do you know what to tell them?
I just tell them what comes to my mind at the moment. I have no standardized procedure in dealing with people.
You are sure of yourself. But when people come to me for advice, how am I to be sure that my advice is right?
Watch in what state you are, from what level you talk. If you talk from the mind, you may be wrong. If you talk from full insight into the situation, with your own mental habits in abeyance, your advice may be a true response. The main point is to be fully aware that neither you nor the man in front of you are mere bodies. If your awareness is clear and full, a mistake is less probable.
64. Whatever pleases you keeps you back.
Questioner: I am a retired chartered accountant, and my wife is engaged in social work for poor women. Our son is leaving for the United States, and we came to see him off. We are Punjabis, but we live in Delhi. We have a guru of the Radha Swami faith, and we value satsang highly. We feel very fortunate to be brought here. We have met many holy people, and we are glad to meet one more.
Maharaj, you have met many anchorites and ascetics, but a fully realized man conscious of his divinity, Swarupa, is hard to find. The saints and yogis, by immense efforts and sacrifices, acquire many miraculous powers and can do much good in the way of helping people and inspiring faith, yet it does not make them perfect. It is not a way to reality, but merely an enrichment of the false. All effort leads to more effort. Whatever was built up must be maintained. Whatever was acquired must be protected against decay or loss. Whatever can be lost is not really one's own. And what is not your own? Of what use can it be to you? In my world, nothing is pushed about. All happens by itself. All existence is in space and time, limited and temporary. He who experiences existence is also limited and temporary. I am not concerned either with what exists or with who exists. I take my stand beyond, where I am both and neither. The persons who, after much effort and penance, have fulfilled their ambitions and secured higher levels of experience and action are usually acutely conscious of their standing. They grade people into hierarchies, ranging from the lowest non-achiever to the highest achiever. To me, all are equal. Differences in appearance and expression are there, but they do not matter. Just as the shape of a gold ornament does not affect the gold, so does man's essence remain unaffected. Where this sense of equality is lacking, it means that reality had not been touched. Mere knowledge is not enough. The knower must be known. The pandits and the yogis may know many things, but of what use is mere knowledge when the self is not known? It will be certainly misused. Without the knowledge of the knower, there can be no peace.
How does one come to know the knower?
I can only tell you what I know from my own experience. When I met my guru, he told me, "You are not what you take yourself to be. Find out what you are. Watch the sense I am. Find your real self." I obeyed him because I trusted him. I did as he told me. All my spare time I would spend looking at myself in silence. And what a difference it made, and how soon. It took me only 3 years to realize my true nature. My guru died soon after I met him, but it made no difference. I remembered what he told me and persevered. The fruit of it is here, with me.
What is it?
I know myself as I am in reality. I am neither the body, nor the mind, nor the mental faculties. I am beyond all these.
Are you just nothing?
Come on, be reasonable. Of course I am, most tangibly. Only, I am not what you may think me to be. This tells you all.
It tells me nothing.
Because it cannot be told. You must gain your own experience. You are accustomed to deal with things, physical and mental. I am not a thing, nor are you. We are neither matter nor energy, neither body nor mind. Once you have a glimpse of your own being, you will not find me difficult to understand. We believe in so many things on hearsay. We believe in distant lands and people, in heavens and hells, in gods and goddesses, because we were told. Similarly, we were told about ourselves, our parents, name, position, duties, and so on. We never cared to verify. The way to truth lies through the destruction of the false. To destroy the false, you must question your most inveterate beliefs. Of these, the idea that you are the body is the worst. With the body comes the world. With the world, God, who is supposed to have created the world, and thus it starts, fears, religions, prayers, sacrifices, all sorts of systems, all to protect and support the child man, frightened out of his wits by monsters of his own making. Realize that what you are cannot be born nor die, and with the fear gone, all suffering ends. What the mind invents, the mind destroys. But the real is not invented and cannot be destroyed. Hold on to that over which the mind has no power. What I am telling you about is neither in the past nor in the future, nor is it in the daily life as it flows in the now. It is timeless, and the total timelessness of it is beyond the mind. My guru and his words, "You are myself," are timelessly with me. In the beginning I had to fix my mind on them, but now it has become natural and easy. The point when the mind accepts the words of the guru as true and lives by them spontaneously, and in every detail of daily life, is the threshold of realization. In a way, it is salvation by faith, but the faith must be intense and lasting.
However, you must not think that faith itself is enough. Faith expressed in action is a sure means to realization. Of all the means, it is the most effective. There are teachers who deny faith and trust reason only. Actually, it is not faith they deny, but blind beliefs. Faith is not blind. It is the willingness to try. We were told that of all forms of spiritual practices, the practice of the attitude of a mere witness is the most efficacious. How does it compare with faith?
The witness attitude is also faith. It is faith in oneself. You believe that you are not what you experience, and you look at everything as from a distance. There is no effort in witnessing. You understand that you are the witness only, and the understanding acts. You need nothing more. Just remember that you are the witness only. If in the state of witnessing you ask yourself, "Who am I?" the answer comes at once, though it is wordless and silent. Cease to be the object and become the subject of all that happens. Once having turned within, you will find yourself beyond the subject. When you have found yourself, you will find that you are also beyond the object, that both the subject and the object exist in you, but you are neither.
You speak of the mind, of the witnessing consciousness beyond the mind, and of the supreme, which is beyond awareness. Do you mean to say that even awareness is not real?
As long as you deal in terms real, unreal, awareness is the only reality that can be. But the supreme is beyond all distinctions, and to it the term real does not apply. For in it all is real and, therefore, need not be labeled as such. It is the very source of reality. It imparts reality to whatever it touches. It just cannot be understood through words. Even a direct experience, however sublime, merely bears testimony, nothing more.
But who creates the world?
The universal mind, Chidakash, makes and unmakes everything. The supreme, Paramakash, imparts reality to whatever comes into being. To say that it is the universal love may be the nearest we can come to it in words. Just like love, it makes everything real, beautiful, desirable.
Why desirable?
Why not? Wherefrom come all the powerful attractions that make all created things respond to each other, that bring people together, if not from the supreme. Shun not desire. See only that it flows into the right channels. Without desire, you are dead. But with low desires, you are a ghost.
What is the experience which comes nearest to the supreme?
Immense peace and boundless love. Realize that whatever there is true, noble, and beautiful in the universe, it all comes from you, that you yourself are at the source of it. The gods and goddesses that supervise the world may be most wonderful and glorious beings, yet they are like the gorgeously dressed servants who proclaim the power and the riches of their master.
How does one reach the supreme state?
By renouncing all lesser desires. As long as you are pleased with the lesser, you cannot have the highest. Whatever pleases you keeps you back. Until you realize the unsatisfactoriness of everything, its transiency and limitation, and collect your energies in one great longing, even the first step is not made. On the other hand, the integrity of the desire for the Supreme is by itself a call from the Supreme. Nothing, physical or mental, can give you freedom. You are free once you understand that your bondage is of your own making and you cease forging the chains that bind you.
How does one find the faith in a guru?
To find the guru, and also the trust in him, is rare luck. It does not happen often.
Is it destiny that ordains?
Calling it destiny explains little. When it happens, you cannot say why it happens, and you merely cover up your ignorance by calling it karma, or grace, or the will of God.
Krishnamurti says that guru is not needed.
Somebody must tell you about the supreme reality and the way that leads to it. Krishnamurti is doing nothing else. In a way, he is right. Most of the so-called disciples do not trust their gurus. They disobey them and finally abandon them. For such disciples, it would have been infinitely better if they had no guru at all and just looked within for guidance. To find a living guru is a rare opportunity and a great responsibility. One should not treat these matters lightly. You people are out to buy yourself the heaven. and you imagine that the guru will supply it for a price. You seek to strike a bargain by offering little but asking much. You cheat nobody except yourselves.
You were told by your guru that you are the supreme and you trusted him and acted on it. What gave you this trust?
Say, I was just reasonable. It would have been foolish to distrust him. What interest could he possibly have in misleading me?
You told a questioner that we are the same, that we are equals. I cannot believe it. Since I do not believe it, of what use is your statement to me?
Your disbelief does not matter. My words are true, and they will do their work. This is the beauty of noble company, satsang.
Just sitting near you, can it be considered spiritual practice?
Of course, the river of life is flowing. Some of its water is here, but so much of it has already reached its goal. You know only the present. I see much further into the past and future, into what you are and what you can be. I cannot but see you as myself. It is in the very nature of love to see no difference.
How can I come to see myself as you see me?
It is enough if you do not imagine yourself to be the body. It is the I am the body idea that is so calamitous. It blinds you completely to your real nature. Even for a moment, do not think that you are the body. Give yourself no name, no shape. In the darkness and the silence, reality is found.
Must not I think with some conviction that I am not the body? Where am I to find such conviction?
Behave as if you were fully convinced, and the confidence will come. What is the use of mere words? A formula, a mental pattern will not help you. But unselfish action, free from all concern with the body and its interests, will carry you into the very heart of reality.
Where am I to get the courage to act without conviction?
Love will give you the courage. When you meet somebody wholly admirable, love-worthy, sublime, your love and admiration will give you the urge to act nobly.
Not everybody knows to admire the admirable. Most of the people are totally insensitive.
Life will make them appreciate. The very weight of accumulated experience will give them eyes to see. When you meet a worthy man, you will love and trust him and follow his advice. This is the role of the realized people, to set an example of perfection for others to admire and love. Beauty of life and character is a tremendous contribution to the common good.
Must we not suffer to grow?
It is enough to know that there is suffering, that the world suffers. By themselves, neither pleasure nor pain enlighten. Only understanding does. Once you have grasped the truth that the world is full of suffering, that to be born is a calamity, you will find the urge and the energy to go beyond it. Pleasure puts you to sleep, and pain wakes you up. If you do not want to suffer, don't go to sleep. You cannot know yourself through bliss alone, for bliss is your very nature. You must face the opposite, what you are not, to find enlightenment.
65. A quiet mind is all you need.
Questioner: I am not well. I feel rather weak. What am I to do?
Maharaj, who is unwell, you or the body?
My body, of course.
Yesterday you felt well. What felt well?
The body.
You were glad when the body was well, and you are sad when the body is unwell. Who is glad one day and sad the next?
The mind.
And who knows the variable mind?
The mind.
The mind is the knower. Who knows the knower?
Does not the knower know itself?
The mind is discontinuous. Again and again it blanks out, like in sleep or swoon or distraction. There must be something continuous to register discontinuity.
The mind remembers. This stands for continuity.
Memory is always partial, unreliable, and evanescent. It does not explain the strong sense of identity pervading consciousness. the sense I am. Find out what is at the root of it.
However deeply I look, I find only the mind. Your words beyond the mind give me no clue.
While looking with the mind, you cannot go beyond it. To go beyond, you must look away from the mind and its contents.
In what direction am I to look?
All directions are within the mind. I am not asking you to look in any particular direction. Just look away from all that happens in your mind and bring it to the feeling, I am. The I am is not a direction. It is the negation of all direction. Ultimately, even the I am will have to go, for you need not keep on asserting what is obvious. Bringing the mind to the feeling I am merely helps in turning the mind away from everything else.
Where does it all lead me?
When the mind is kept away from its preoccupations, it becomes quiet. If you do not disturb this quiet and stay in it, you find that it is permeated with a light and a love you have never known, and yet you recognize it at once as your own nature. Once you have passed through this experience, you will never be the same man again. The unruly mind may break its peace and obliterate its vision, but it is bound to return, provided the effort is sustained. Until the day when all bonds are broken, delusions and attachments end, and life becomes supremely concentrated in the present.
What difference does it make?
The mind is no more. There is only love in action.
How shall I recognize this state when I reach it?
There will be no fear.
Surrounded by a world full of mysteries and dangers, how can I remain unafraid?
Your own little body, too, is full of mysteries and dangers. Yet you are not afraid of it, for you take it as your own. What you do not know is that the entire universe is your body, and you need not be afraid of it. You may say you have two bodies, the personal and the universal. The personal comes and goes. The universal is always with you. The entire creation is your universal body. You are so blinded by what is personal that you do not see the universal. This blindness will not end by itself. It must be undone skillfully and deliberately. When all illusions are understood and abandoned, you reach the error-free and perfect state in which all distinctions between the personal and the universal are no more.
I am a person, and therefore limited in space and time. I occupy little space and last but a few moments. I cannot even conceive myself to be eternal and all-pervading.
Nevertheless, you are. As you dive deep into yourself in search of your true nature, you will discover that only your body is small and only your memory is short, while the vast ocean of life is yours.
The very words I and universal are contradictory. One excludes the other.
They don't. The sense of identity pervades the universal. Search, and you shall discover the universal person, who is yourself and infinitely more. Anyhow, begin by realizing that the world is in you, not you in the world.
How can it be? I am only a part of the world. How can the whole world be contained in the part, except by reflection, mirror-like?
What you say is true. Your personal body is a part in which the whole is wonderfully reflected. But you have also a universal body. You cannot even say that you do not know it because you see and experience it all the time. Only you call it the world and are afraid of it.
I feel I know my little body, while the other I do not know, except through science.
Your little body is full of mysteries and wonders which you do not know. There also, science is your only guide. Both anatomy and astronomy describe you.
Even if I accept your doctrine of the universal body as a working theory, in what way can I test it and of what use is it to me?
Knowing yourself as the dweller in both the bodies, you will disown nothing. All the universe will be your concern. Every living thing you will love and help most tenderly and wisely. There will be no clash of interests between you and others. All exploitation will cease absolutely. Your every action will be beneficial. Every movement will be a blessing.
It is all very tempting, but how am I to proceed to realize my universal being?
You have two ways. You can give your heart and mind to self-discovery, or you accept my words on trust and act accordingly. In other words, either you become totally self-concerned or totally unself-concerned. It is the word totally that is important. You must be extreme to reach the Supreme.
How can I aspire to such heights, small and limited as I am?
Realize yourself as the ocean of consciousness in which all happens. This is not difficult. A little of attentiveness, of close observation of oneself, and you will see that no event is outside your consciousness.
The world is full of events which do not appear in my consciousness.
Even your body is full of events which do not appear in your consciousness. This does not prevent you from claiming your body to be your own. You know the world exactly as you know your body, through your senses. It is your mind that has separated the world outside your skin from the world inside and put them in opposition. This created fear and hatred and all the miseries of living.
What I do not follow is what you say about going beyond consciousness. I understand the words, but I cannot visualize the experience. After all, you yourself have said that all experience is in consciousness.
You are right. There can be no experience beyond consciousness. Yet there is the experience of just being. There is a state beyond consciousness, which is not unconscious. Some call it superconsciousness, or pure consciousness, or supreme consciousness. It is pure awareness free from the subject-object nexus.
I have studied theosophy, and I find nothing familiar in what you say. I admit theosophy deals with manifestation only. It describes the universe and its inhabitants in great details. It admits many levels of matter and corresponding levels of experience, but it does not seem to go beyond. What you say goes beyond all experience. If it is not experienceable, why at all talk about it?
Consciousness is intermittent, full of gaps. Yet, there is the continuity of identity. What is this sense of identity due to, if not to something beyond consciousness?
If I am beyond the mind, how can I change myself?
Where is the need of changing anything? The mind is changing anyhow all the time. Look at your mind dispassionately. This is enough to calm it. When it is quiet, you can go beyond it. Do not keep it busy all the time. Stop it, and just be. If you give it rest, it will settle down and recover its purity and strength. Constant thinking makes it decay.
If my true being is always with me, how is it that I am ignorant of it?
Because it is very subtle, and your mind is gross, full of gross thoughts and feelings. Calm and clarify your mind, and you will know yourself as you are.
Do I need the mind to know myself?
You are beyond the mind, but you know with your mind. It is obvious that the extent, depth, and character of knowledge depend on what instrument you use. Improve your instrument, and your knowledge will improve.
To know perfectly, I need a perfect mind.
A quiet mind is all you need. All else will happen rightly, once your mind is quiet. As the sun on rising makes the world active, so does self-awareness affect changes in the mind. In the light of calm and steady self-awareness, inner energies wake up and work miracles without any effort on your part.
You mean to say that the greatest work is done by not working?
Exactly. Do understand that you are destined for enlightenment. Cooperate with your destiny, don't go against it. Don't thwart it. Allow it to fulfill itself. All you have to do is to give attention to the obstacles created by the foolish mind.